Hi, I'm Melissa. Welcome to Wed and Worth It. We're going to have transparent conversations around budgets and walk through the emotional journey that is wedding planning. We're going to discuss the value of investing in meaningful moments and the joy that comes from creating an experience for yourselves and your loved ones. We talk to newly married couples to find out, was it worth it? Welcome! I am so excited to have my very first wedding vendor friend, or as they are more lovingly called in the wedding industry, frienders. We have Trego with Trego the DJ on today. We're going to hear a little bit about his journey into the industry and what he's learned and where he's at now. I think you'll find very quickly how much energy and how much fun he is and how much love he pours into everything, every single wedding that he does. Enjoy! Hi, I am so excited to have Trego as my very first vendor friend.
Let's go. Thank you for having me. I'm truly honored.
We were just chatting about headphones. I feel like I'm not ever going to be used to these, and he has in-ears because
they're not that expensive too. I have the Shure brand that is like the entry level, probably like $100.
So those aren't like Apple.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. They're hardwired.
They're
like, put them up. You could be like, basically, oh my God.
Like if you're on a stage.
Right. Exactly.
Like your background.
I always keep one out because you got to hear the music.
Yeah.
That would be my worst nightmare if you're like DJing and then like there's only music going in your headphones and there's nothing.
Well, it's like the silent disco, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Which are so fun.
Which are super fun. I want
to do a networking. I'm so sorry. Great. You're off to a great start. I want to do a networking event where it's silent disco. Because that would be the perfect way to like talk to people and mingle and give you out your business cards and then throw on the headphones and dance. Like it's perfect. It's literally perfect.
Is there one coming up that you can do?
There might be the Trego Invitational.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would love that. I would love to be there. I would be down for that party.
Well, you're invited.
Okay, thanks.
Everything is pending.
Okay, perfect. That sounds like a next year problem. Actually, it sounds like a 2025 problem.
Totally. And have you ever worked with Gatherings by Ellie?
Yes.
She always does like a time delay on her emails and they go out at 8 p.m.
Oh.
Like always. And so I was like, is this an 8 p.m. problem? I sent her one of those recently.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
So funny.
Okay, I want you to start with telling me a little bit about your background and how long you've been in the industry and all that, and maybe also how you met your wife, because I like that story too.
Okay, cool. So my name is Andrew Trego. Probably since about college or so, I've just gone by Trego, but I was always like little Trego, Andrew Trego. There was always a Trego going on there. And I grew up on the East Coast, singing, dancing, acting, getting into trouble, doing all the things. And when you are interested in all of it, but you're not good at any of it, you go into musical theater. And so I did that all throughout high school and college, got my degree from James Madison University in Virginia for musical theater. And I was in all these classes and they were drilling it into our brains that we are not actors, that we are just people who audition. Oh. And then once you get the job, then you're an actor, like you're legit.
You got to earn it.
And you got to earn it, right? And it's kind of like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, like that is kind of the best way to. It's kind of like you're a professional job interviewer until you get a job, basically.
Okay.
And so I was working for this formerly known as the Six Flags. Up in New York, upstate New York. Right outside of, kind of in between Buffalo and Rochester, New York. And it was the weirdest summer of all time. We could do a whole podcast on that summer. But we worked like dogs. We did 8 shows a day, 6 days a week. I did 48 shows, and it was just a mental grind.
What was the show?
Opening show and closing show. And then at 1, 3, and 5, we did one show. And at 2, 4, and 6, we did another show. So 1, 3, 5, we did Thomas the Tank Engine. I was Sir Topham Hatt.
Oh, yes, you were.
Amazing.
Yes, you were.
Had a fat suit and all of it. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say. Yeah. I'm canceled already. Yeah. And then we did a rock review show. So like Billy Joel and, the AC/DC and Prince and all sorts of different songs and whatnot. And so I hosted that. That was my first like foot in the door of like just hosting events and being myself and all that. And it was super fun. And so on my day off there, I'm drilled into my brain that you're not really an actor. And so I went and I auditioned for Disney Cruise Line up in Toronto, which is like 2 hours away, right? And I got kept, and they liked me, and I was like, I was anticipating this being a no. What do you mean?
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
yes? What do you? I got the first gig. What are you talking about?
That doesn't
And
happen.
so this isn't supposed to happen. They
Mhm.
called me a couple weeks later, and they were like, "Hey, I'm going into my senior year of college, and they were like, "Hey, we want you to get on a ship around Thanksgiving, like you down." And I was like, "Well, I need to graduate first. I promised my parents."
Yeah.
So I was like, "This is gonna be a no." And they were like, "When do you graduate?" I go, "May." They go, "Great, you'll be hearing from us in March." They call March 2nd, and
Wow.
right. Like the Friday at 5 o'clock, last call of the week for them, and it was spring break, and we were about to get weird. And I was like, "Everybody, don't talk about this. I need to we're compartmentalizing this. I'm dealing. This is a Monday problem."
Yes.
And then I talked to my parents and everything, and I was like, "They want me to get on this ship in May." And sure enough, I graduated May 5th. I started rehearsals up in Toronto, actually, May 11th, and it was the perfect timing, perfect cocoon into adulthood. I worked for Disney Cruise Line. I portrayed many characters.
For how long?
One with 2 contracts back to back. I didn't love it. I loved the people.
Were you
the job
on a
was
ship
fun.
like the whole time?
I was on 2 months of rehearsals,
Okay.
7 months on the ship.
Wow.
So they're
Okay.
9-month contracts.
Okay.
And so I didn't love it. We were out of the Caribbean, so we were doing 2 cruises a week, and it was just I felt like cattle on
Oh,
high
yeah.
and by, right? I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And then they offered me the Mediterranean, and I was like, I guess I can stick around for that. Glad I did, because I was this cast on the Magic ship, and it's called Magic 30, and then Magic 31. My wife was on, so we had 9 days of crossover, star-crossed lovers. She was engaged. I was in a relationship.
Oh,
we
I
cut
didn't
ties
know
with
that
both
part.
of them. Yep, cut ties with both of them. And then I just knew she was the one.
Yeah.
And so we start dating. I moved to California to pursue acting, but quickly realized that I didn't like the industry, and I just needed something that was more fulfilling. I was still auditioning and whatnot, but I wrote down in a notebook in the middle of 2014, should I host events for money, Clark? I was like, how do I take all of these passions and talents and
where do they
channel it
collide?
into something?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So then I found on Craigslist this DJ Academy class where this company takes raw talent and turns them into professionals. I took that at the beginning January of 2015. I started it. I was DJing weddings by June of 2015 all by myself. I was terrible.
Yeah.
I was so bad, but I was
how can you
loving
be good?
life.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I just remember going to an audition that was across town, an hour and a half each way in Santa Monica, and it was for Taco Bell, and they were like, I want you to turn and pretend like a monster's chasing you, and then turn back around. I was in the audition room for 15 seconds, and then they were like, thank you, next. And I was like, well, F this, I'm out.
Yeah.
And it was 3 hours of my day down the drain. And I was like, but I do these weddings, and people are excited that I'm there. There's something indescribable about a wedding, right?
Yeah.
And being a part of it, it's such an honor. And so I got addicted really quick. I DJ'd my wedding about 15 months later.
Oh,
so
wow.
that's the pace that I was
Baptism
going
by
at.
fire. Yeah.
It was going quick. And so I did get better after a while. Some might argue against that, but I did get better after a while. And
wait, what year was
happened,
that? What year? You said 2015?
So June 15, I started DJing weddings, and then October 2016, I had my 100th wedding. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And it was just picking up. I was, I guess, 26 at the time. I started working in the front office for this big DJ company. I started in the warehouse, actually. I was wrapping cables and prepping photo booths and doing all sorts of stuff like that. And then I was doing sales and business development for the company, and I really loved that.
Oh, really?
And it was it was great. It was networking. It was knocking on venues and just passing out cookies and just I was not working smart. I was working very hard because our region was Santa Barbara down to San Diego all the way over to Palm Springs. Geographically, it was massive.
Okay.
Probably hundreds of venues that I
Wow.
was doing. So I would be like, okay, I'm going to Riverside and I'm going to hit the 8 venues there in one day. And then it was crazy.
That is crazy.
But it was fun. And it like slowly but surely I got to see like how the sausage was made, like what is the whole process from inquiry all the way through completion of wedding day. And so slowly but surely, my wife and I got married in 2017 in Temecula. She's from Arizona. We moved back out here at the beginning of 2018.
Okay.
And we had a satellite office in Scottsdale. So I was helping that get off the ground. That's when I met you at the end
I was
of
going to say,
2018.
I'm like,
Weston Kierland.
yes.
And I told you I'm almost positive on this date. I think it was Saturday, October 27, 2018.
What?
I hope that matches up. Weston Kierland. I remember what the bride and groom looked like, but I can't remember their names anymore. You were second shooting.
Yep, I was working for a different company. Yes.
So all that was happening, and we met, and I told you that you look like my mom.
Yes.
And I showed you a picture of her at 5 years old and 60 years old, and I was like, "Use your imagination."
Just, like, put it in the middle.
How? Yes.
I was like,
so
"Who
funny.
is this?"
And you were like, "I'm pretty sure this guy's an asshole."
I don't know how to take this information.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was not ideal.
But it was. I remembered it. It was memorable.
It was us. It was the birth of us. And and then so I was holding down the fort. I was going out to California in 2018, like, because in this industry you're gonna book 9 to 18 months out or whatever.
Sure.
And I am very earnest with my commitments. Like, if I say I'm gonna DJ your wedding, I'm gonna find a way to DJ your wedding. I'm loyal. And so I was going out to California from March to September. There was like 30 weekends, and I went out 22 times.
Wow.
Driving, sleeping on the office floor, going back really early. I was so tired, but it was a lot of time alone and being like, I think I can do this by myself. Like, I don't think I need this company anymore. I think I'm bringing more value to them than they're bringing to me. Meanwhile, in my front office job for them, I'm DJing on the weekends, and during the week, I'm doing recruitment and education for that company. So I got this kind of passion for education and the industry and bringing people up. And, I kind of saw how that company, bless their hearts, was kind of protecting like the secrets of the industry. And I was like, no, we're going to give it away. You know what I mean?
We want to have some fun too.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Absolutely. And so I was on board by the end of that experience in 2018. Had to get my wife on board with, bringing a child into the world and medical bills and, what's going to happen if we, can't pay our bills and whatever. I finally got her on the line. I got her to agree to it February 22nd, 2020, on her birthday. I was like, we were at Hotel Valley Ho at Zuzu or whatever it was. And I was like, babe, I think I could crush this. And I need you to back me.
Yes.
I'm not going to misstep without my spouse.
Yes.
But like, I need your support. Say yes. And then the world shut down, and the plan was kind of always to do it at the, like, before engagement season and whatnot. Sure. But it was verified that I was going to wait to do that. And then at the November of 2020.
So you hadn't officially left the company?
No.
Okay.
No, I remember it was just like in the back of my head. I remember Ashley and Megan were the first two people I told. I was like, guys, I think I'm going to leave the company. And they were like, we don't care. Tell us where to send the check. And they were like, good for you. Like, you know what I mean?
We need those cheerleaders. Yes.
Yes. And I mean, the other thing, Melissa, is that like, I was showing up to events and people were like, oh, blah, blah, blah from your team was here and they screwed everything up. And that was happening like a lot. And I was like, I don't think that this is like a brand association
I don't want to
be part of.
It's time to separate.
Again, bless their hearts.
Yes.
I hope they make $1 zillion.
Yes.
You're just not going to make it with me.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
And so, end of the year, I go off and do my own thing. And I mean, just with COVID and with having a name in the industry out here, like, there was no balls dropped. It was just like, I think a lot of people don't even know that I worked for another company.
At this point.
Today is actually 4 years since my last day in the front office.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was super great. It was a great ride, and it's just been up and learning so much. And one of the other big things was Chris from Consider It Done
Mm.
kind of took me under her wing, and her husband's brilliant with marketing. And she was like, you need to go to this thing called DJ Collective, which is like
Oh.
all the very best DJs in the nation. It's it's like kind of like Engage, but just for
Oh,
DJ.
okay.
Right. And so you're going to drop a bunch of money and you're going to learn so much. And the biggest thing, I learned so much, but the biggest thing that I learned is that the glass ceiling is non-existent.
Mm.
I found out what they're paying, what they're charging, what they're getting, how to network. Like, it just got inspired by the best in the industry. And I was like, we're going to bring this to Arizona,
I
and we're
love
going to take,
that.
we're gonna crush this.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, like, just working smarter and not harder, and definitely harder, just working,
But in a different way. Yeah.
but in a different way. And like, honestly, it's just like my favorite thing. I have fallen in love with every single aspect of the job, whether it's wrapping cables and gaff taping and, picking the right song at the right time and mixing and emceeing and client meetings and all things. There is not one thing that I don't love. There's things that give me more energy than others. I
Yes, sure.
feel in the flow zone, whatever. Tax day is not my favorite thing in the world. You know what I mean? But like, you just have to enjoy the journey. You have to, especially in this industry.
I know.
Right?
I feel like I've heard that as a business owner too. You're always working to achieve something, but then once you get there, you're like, oh, it's not quite what I thought it was going to be. Like, enjoying the journey is the thing, is where you
100%.
want to go. Enjoying that part is so important.
I'm so lucky to say that my best friend from college, we both did musical theater. He kept auditioning and doing it. He just broke into Broadway. Just had his Broadway debut, which was amazing. But it's so funny. It's like everything has changed and nothing's changed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so I was talking to somebody who's about 10 years younger than us, who's auditioning out there and grinding in New York and all that stuff. And I was like, dude, if you don't fall in love with this journey, the destination is going to feel empty. So
sure.
Do stuff that's self-love. If you want, my biggest thing for professionals or whoever it is write down your boundaries. Write down what your red flags are, what you love, what you don't love. And next time an inquiry comes in and you're like, I don't know if I should take this, reference those. And be like, oh yeah, I said I'm not going to do 4 weddings in a weekend, so this would be my 4th. I'm going to say no. Or this venue is a pain in the butt to work at. I'm not going to work there anymore.
I feel like writing those down and then sticking to them are two different things. But I feel like part of the journey is learning, wait, no, I should have stuck to those things I told myself I wasn't going to do.
Exactly. And just really checking in with those. It's actually really interesting. I just read a great book this summer that kind of was one of the highlights of the year. It's called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Oh, okay.
And I can't stop talking about it. So I'm sorry if anybody has heard this before, but one of the biggest takeaways was, when you think of a business owner, you think of all the things that a business owner does, you need to categorize them by using 2 questions. Does it give you energy or does it take it away?
Yes.
And does it make your business money or does it not make your business money? And once you kind of quadrant your life and you want to spend most of your time doing what you love, making your business a lot of money. And so I took that and I looked at my boundary of only doing 3 weddings in a weekend. And I was like, you know what? I got a kid on the way and we're going to break these boundaries and we're going to see if the family unit can hold up. I was most worried about my child and daughter, daughter and wife, and they did great. And I was like, I can do 4 weddings in a weekend now. This is crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's doing what I love. Yes. And I don't, it's just like and that's another thing I would say. This is all about business coaching.
I know. I love it.
Your newlywed show is out the door. But what I was going to say is, you have to run the pace and not the race, right? If you do 100 weddings this year, you still got to be in business next year. Where this is a long journey, right? You're going to be in business for years and decades, with retirement maybe one day. But it's not like if you take this, you're going to be financially set for the rest of your life or fulfilled or whatever. So you have to check in with yourself on what you can put on your plate and what feels right and what not.
Yeah, where are you pouring your energy into?
You should go to one of Melissa's retreats.
Oh,
You
yes.
remember when I asked you? I was like, "What are you retreating from?"
No.
I
think that's exactly what I said. I'm like, no, not hustle.
Totally.
I want people to just take a minute to breathe and enjoy themselves. And I think connecting with other people who see the world in a creative way is so different than, maybe your engineer husband.
100%. And we love the
And
engineer husbands out there.
I love the engineer husbands. My director of operations husband. I love him. We love the consistency. We love the steadiness and all of that. And then there's a way that creative people see the world that is so different. And so to explore a new place is,
it's great.
Yeah.
Not everything's your superpower. I if we have time, I would love to talk more about that superpower thing later. But this is probably more for newlyweds.
Well, for people who are getting married, perhaps. Tell me a little bit about who your couples are. I feel like for me, it's been a huge joy to watch your business go from just starting out to totally flourishing. And I feel like you have a very specific couple who finds you. And so tell me about that and what your process looks like a little bit.
So one thing to know is I'm a solo op rather than a multi-op. I am in business and the roster is me, myself, and I when it comes to lead DJs. I have in-person assistants. Carlos is my go-to. Shout out to him. I love you, Carlos.
We love Carlos.
But also we love Phil and we love Nick and Bryson and Michael Duke and anybody else who's like there to help out as well. So that has been really key to have another body there and understand perspective and crap, we ran out of gaff tape, go to the store real quick, and like you're never strapped with a second set of eyes, hands, so on and so forth. And then I also just hired a virtual assistant, Austin. Shout out to you in the Philippines. Austin,
we love Austin in the Philippines.
We love Austin in the Philippines. He is a gangster.
MVP.
He's awesome.
Cleared that email inbox.
Let's go! We sync up twice a week. We sync up on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm a morning person and he's a night person, which is perfect because we're halfway across the world. Yeah. And it's great. It's just nice to have somebody who's like working with me in the trenches, like all the things, and he's great. So, but in terms of lead DJs, it's just me.
Okay.
And I would say I'm very personality based. Like this is me. Like I wake up, I'm either asleep or I have this much energy. This is just what happens.
0 to 100 like that. Yeah.
0 to 100. So I need people who are interested in the possibility of their party being 100%, like 100 out of 100. Recently, I just did a wedding at Mountain Shadows. I've done it in the past where the dancing was outside and they have to keep the decibels at a certain level and whatever. And that does not give me we love Mount Shadows. It's where I've worked at the most in the last 5 years, but it doesn't give me the opportunity, the possibility to blow the roof off the place. Yeah. So that's a boundary for me now. Yeah. I'm not going to do outside receptions there.
So your couples are party hardy,
and the option of doing that. Now, I never want to feel like I'm the ringleader, the mitzvah king, like out there making people do. I want to facilitate an awesome party, play banger after banger, bop after bop. People's feet hurt. They wanted a new drink 4 songs ago, but they can't get off the dance floor. They're buying timeshares in Scottsdale, so they never forget the big day. Like I want to throw. Every single wedding is the Super Bowl. Yeah. Let's go. You know what I mean? And so I need the possibility of that to happen. So if somebody is like, hey, we're looking for more of cocktail hour vibes or mingling or into some genre that it doesn't have, I don't care what the genre is. EDM, hip hop, throwbacks, it just needs the possibility to be the best night of their lives. So they need to be open to that. And that is so another thing, I think it's easier to say, what is not my client? Sure. And the other thing I would say is somebody who is glued to a certain playlist, because then it's like, it's kind of like you wouldn't tell a surgeon how to cut you open.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not trusting you as the professional.
Yes, 100%.
And your hundreds of weddings that you have literally been a part of.
It's just my favorite thing. And it's so funny because like I always tell people I know how I'm going to start and I know how I'm going to end, or I have an idea of how I'm going to start and how I'm going to end. And everything else is less of a set list and more of a vision board that I'm kind of and like when I need certain inspiration. We need to mix it up. I'm going into the well and I'm figuring it out, but I'm here to surprise people. I'm here to mix it up. I'm here not to play out songs. I'm here to just kind of be ahead of the crowd of like, I never want them to be like, oh, what's next? I want them to be like, oh, like
Yes.
surprised and like energized. You know what I mean? But one thing that's kind of interesting about who my clients are is I get a ton of nurses. I get a ton of people in the service industry that I think understand, in some sort of service industry, that understand the value of an experience, because weddings are expensive, especially now. And I think they understand that life is short. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
grab it by the...
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep. 100% I do. I feel similarly, actually. Just this last year, I feel like I've seen a lot of people post photos, past brides and grooms whose parents have passed away. And the photos that I took are the first photos they're posting. Life is short. And these moments are... this one day is here and then it's gone, and it's one of the best days in the world. And to be able to fully immerse yourself in it and enjoy it and be able to value the experience that you're giving to them, it's a lot.
100%. And what did they say? The old adage is you hire the DJ for the day of, and photo and video for the memories.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else is kind of fluff.
Yeah.
No offense, but if you want that cigar rolling bar, you get that cigar rolling bar. And that donkey is going to make your wedding. Get the donkey.
We love a beer burro.
We love a beer burro. What was I going to say? I had a similar experience it was blah, 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 really long story. They had like kind of this emergency pivot wedding. They were going to be married in Canada, but they pivoted to end of July in Arizona.
Lovely.
They had an awesome time. They moved the wedding for the mother of the bride, and she was this beautiful lady. They had this beautiful love story. It was an awesome celebration. And unfortunately, the mom passed 6 days later.
Wow.
6 days later. And we were just like, man, it really rocked me.
Yeah.
But I came out it from the other side of, how awesome that was like their last major memory with their parent. Yeah, it makes me feel like we're not just playing music for drunk people.
No.
And we're not just taking photos of, I need this configuration of the family. Like, that might be the last time that they have that configuration.
100%. I totally agree with you. I think it's made me realize, I could never work I think what we do is very special, working with heightened emotions on the wedding day and all that. People will say they can't do that, but I don't think I could ever be like a funeral director or, the total opposite side of the spectrum. But I do feel like being in this industry has really put into perspective how short life is and how important these moments are. And so while I will bring a fun time to the wedding day, I want you to genuinely enjoy it. I want you to be fully present with the people that you love the most, because we don't know if these people are ever going to be in the same room again, and we just don't know how much longer we have. It's just made me realize how precious life is, really.
100%. And if you want the new Cybertruck, go for it. But guess what? Those memories, you know what I mean? Like, life is too short to worry about this stuff,
Yes.
As I say, in a minivan with a Santa,
I like
thing
it.
on that I definitely thrifted.
I love it. I think it took me a while to realize you were wearing Santas.
It was Santa.
Yeah.
I'm very festive right now. I have a 5-year-old.
I'm a 5-year-old too, but I dressed up like a grandma, so...
I love that. Yes, this is good. And that was my mom at 60. Yeah. This is...
See?
We're getting
it's all
back
full
to the
circle.
root.
Full circle.
100%.
Okay, so tell me a couple things about what you're seeing in the wedding industry right now as far as entertainment, DJ, receptions, all that. Like, what are you seeing? What are you excited about?
Well, what's interesting is I loved DJing weddings from the very jump. But in 2015, when I got into it, the zeitgeist, the idea of what a wedding DJ is now very different than what it is now. As in the Men's Warehouse matching suit and tie, like very like satin textures and bright fuchsia, and then the Spencer's gift store lights, which we can absolutely address.
Yes.
you and I, for the listener, you and I have a running thread of people's terrible lighting designs,
It's the
and
best and
it
the worst.
ruined. It's the worst. And what's the worst is even if you go to the Spencer's gift store lights and you have it, and that's what the budget can afford, you go Glen
Yeah.
Coco, but please turn them off during first dance, parent dances, cake
Just
cutting.
the
Come
key
on, we don't need
moments
it.
for the love, for the photographer love, actually, if we could just
Yeah, for the
please.
love of
Yeah.
God, please. Anyways, and then what else was I going to say? So I would say my transition from 15, 16, 17, and then being open to running my own business in 2018, the biggest hurdle, other than I kind of saw AI coming, and I was like, I don't know if this is smart to hedge my bets in this direction. And I still don't know, but life is short, so
Mm-hmm.
just figure it out
Mm-hmm.
later. But the biggest thing was I was kind of embarrassed to tell people I was a wedding DJ
Oh,
and
interesting.
say that I loved it and blah blah blah, and they just thought of like line dances and Love Shack and
Mm-hmm.
just like cheesiness. And so it took a while, but now on this side of it, I mean, with TikTok and like DJs are in front of people's faces every
Mm-hmm.
single day on social media, and it's like it's accepted, it's cool, and weddings feel less like the formalities and the cheesiness, the staleness, the it's been done, to
Yes.
there are new creations, right? And whether it be the music that I'm playing or the formalities that we're not doing, the flow, the design. I mean, weddings are an interesting and similar format, but every wedding's different. And that's why I'm in love with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like it's not Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
It's something totally different, right?
Yes.
So that's really what I have seen is like people, if I had a nickel for every time a couple said, we want our wedding to feel like a nightclub, I'd be filthy
Yeah.
rich. You know what I mean? That's what people want now. They
Yeah.
want these like non-contrived experiences for their
Mm.
clients and their guests, and going to a wedding and throwing a wedding that nobody has ever seen before and nobody will ever see again.
Mm-hmm.
Something unique. Obviously, we're keeping up with the Joneses and social media. The opposite end of that is I feel like people are just like trying to be new for the sake of being new,
Yeah.
which I don't like. Like I
Yes.
want them to be in love with the decisions that they're making. Like
Yes.
it's kind of a red flag when somebody's like, "What's something you've never seen before?" It's like it's not about that.
Yes. It's
It's
not.
not like if you want to write a handwritten note to every single one of your guests, you go, but that's going to
Yes.
take you an
Yeah.
hour for every
Yeah.
guest. You know what I mean? It's just
Yes.
like I
It's
don't
okay
know.
to do
I
things that have been done before and it still can be your own.
yes. It's a spectrum, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like
Sure.
it really depends on your motivation behind it. Like why do you actually want to do that? Do you want it because you're going to impress Sheila, Aunt Sheila, or is
Mm-hmm.
it because it's really important to
Yeah,
you?
it's a part of
So
your love story and there's background. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I would absolutely imagine that this is a question that's coming, is what's kind of like one of the first steps that you would do as a couple after getting engaged and planning your wedding. The very first thing you should do is check in with one another
Mm.
and have those conversations about who do we think should be there? What time of year should it be? Are there any venues? Like understand that there is maybe a hierarchy of needs, right?
Absolutely.
What is the very most important thing that we want to experience? Is it great food? Is it, unforgettable photos and videos? Is it whatever? And crack at it, like
That way.
start your
Within that.
list that way. Yes,
Yes, I
100%.
agree
And the
with you.
beer burrow and the dress and all that stuff, it will
It
come.
will
It will
come.
come,
No, I feel
you
like when
know?
I'm chatting with a couple, they've either they found their venue, and they've most likely found their planner, but sometimes they're chatting with photographers and planners. I almost want to be like, just wait a moment. Like, once you have, and so when I'm chatting with them, they're still very overwhelmed, and it's still a brand
Right.
spanking new information, and they're being hit in the face with all of these very big decisions. And so I'm always like, just take a moment, breathe. It's all going to come together. And once you get some of those big key vendors locked in, then you can really breathe and start to tackle those smaller issues. But you need issues, but not issues. Smaller beer burrows.
Obstacles?
Obstacles,
Sure.
yeah, checklist
Right.
items.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. It's but you have to start with what is the priority. I feel like a lot of, in general, people that are coming here, the view is a big priority because we have beautiful mountains and all that.
Right.
But anyways, what else?
The other thing I was gonna say, ask me another question because I forgot what I was gonna say. I'm
Okay,
sure it will come.
so if there was one way a couple was working with you and there was one way they wanted to elevate the experience for working with you and for their guests, what would it be?
I don't know if I'm gonna answer your question correctly,
Okay.
but what I would say is be open to the possibility of if. And it kind of alludes to what we were talking about beforehand. Not being like, I want you to play this song at this time, blah, 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 like all of those types of things where it feels very rigid. Again, like I said, the middle part of open dancing, which is most of it, I am open to the possibility of if. And just like being on a first date or any sort of experience that you're alive and present in, I don't exactly know what's going to happen. And that's exciting. And you need to fall in love with that falling feeling of like, there's a safety net there, but we haven't hit it yet. You know what I mean? And getting your people to trust your vendors, your wedding planner, your photographer, your DJ, whoever it may be.
I was gonna say,
I mean, you have to come out of every conversation with your potential vendors. You have to come out of that initial conversation with trust.
yes.
If you do not feel trust in your core, keep looking.
It's all about your gut instinct. If you mesh well and you feel like you can truly trust this person, go for it. I feel like there's so many, I'm like, photographers are a dime a dozen. And there's so many great photographers. Like, you will find a photographer and they're going to be so great. What I care about is our connection and that you trust me. If I walk up to you on the wedding day, this happened a couple weeks ago, I was like, okay, so let me know if there's anything specifically that y'all would like to do right now. And the groom was like, I trust you. And I'm like, perfect. That's all that I needed to hear. We're going to have a great time.
Because you're giving him the gift of being present.
Yeah, enjoy your wedding day.
That's what it comes down to.
Yes.
Enjoy your wedding day. We've done all the planning. And that, I came back to the thing that I was going to say. The other thing is when you jump on a booking, consultation, sales call, whatever you want to call it, the initial meet and greet, the vendor should be walking you through what the process is.
Absolutely.
I can't tell you how many times wedding planners have told me that competitors are like, hey, so do you have any questions for me? This is their first time. They don't know what questions to ask. So guide them through. This is what the experience is from now all the way through wedding date. I mean, that should be at least half of the conversation is a spiel of this is exactly what to expect. And so they can put themselves in the passenger seat, which they're going to be in anyways, of like, this is what it's like to work with Melissa Ivey.
Yes, and they can sit and relax and know Trego has this. Like, I don't.
100%. So that would be my biggest thing is they should be the experts. And that's the other thing. Like if somebody is like, hey, like I want you for my fusion Persian wedding. I'm like, you have to feel comfortable with the fact that I am going to be asking you questions about what's going on. You know what I mean? Like
full transparency.
Full transparency, which is why I don't do mitzvahs anymore. I don't do quinceañeras. I don't do any of that stuff. And I'm very transparent with couples that have specific cultures. I'm like, you're going to have to educate me on this. I feel comfortable with my experience that I can get it done. But if you want an authentic Punjabi MC, I guess who I am not. You know what I mean? Like, let me point you in another direction.
That's 100%. I feel so similarly. I mean, there was a time where I was like, I will figure it out. I'm going to do whatever event comes my way. And now I'm like, if you are wanting a snowtop elopement up in Colorado, I'm not your girly. I'm not her.
And there's such strength in that. And I mean, I don't think we've directly had conversations about this, but I sense a little bit about, like wanting to do right by people and maybe people pleasing and stuff like that. I'm a recovering people pleaser. And the more that you can put up boundaries, you'll have more self-respect for yourself.
Yeah. And I feel like that's also comforting for couples. I think too, going into chatting with vendors, I want to do a whole other podcast about that actually, but like it's a two-way street. It's not, especially if you're going in and talking with somebody who's been in the industry for, 5, 10, 15 years. This is so far from their first rodeo. So this is a two-way. Do you want to work with me? But also, would we like to work with you? Like
100%.
it's a relationship here that we're committed to for the next year to 2 years. So that is it's a big deal for both parties, actually.
100%. And I think to vendors out there that are listening, like, don't worry that you're not going to book that date, right? The
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing is like we hold services, but the bottleneck for everybody but like invitations and stuff like that, like, is we're performing a large part of our responsibilities on this big day,
Mm-hmm. Our
right? On this
commodity is
certain date.
this date.
Is the date,
Yes.
right? Exactly. And don't worry about a vendor, don't worry about the scarcity of it. It's a great opportunity. It's a Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever. I don't think I'm going to book this date
Mm-hmm.
again. It's like it all comes out in the wash. You,
Mm.
you, you be true to who you are,
Yes.
what you need, how you can love yourself. That's what a boundary is. What are
Mm.
the rules that I need from you so that I can still love you, right? And that goes when you're your own business owner and booking agent and all those things. How am I going to still love myself at the end of this,
Yes.
right? And so I would just highly recommend, like, don't worry about that. Like, I can specifically think of a date that I declined for certain reasons, and it did not book, and I did not work that day, and I did not make money that day. And that's okay
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't for me. It
Yes.
wasn't for me.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
I think I mean, I feel like at this point it's probably outdated and probably matches with my old lady sweater to say your vibe attracts your tribe.
100%. 100%. I love that.
I think it's true though. Your people will find you, and saying no isn't just saying no, it's an opportunity to say yes somewhere else. So
Yes. I heard Andrea Leslie say that at your panel.
oh
At
yes.
the panel in the spring, and I was like, and she's like, and you're keeping room, your time, your energy, all that stuff for your people, your family and all that stuff. And I was like, oh,
Mm,
it was like one of the she is so wise.
she
She's one of my
is.
favorite
She's
people.
like stealth
And
mode wise.
oh
Just
my
like
god,
flies
I'm
under
just
the
like
radar.
it's like she's like a little furnace that I'm like I get a little wisdom and then I go back in the cold and then 6 months later I'm like yeah, like
Yes.
she is just. And she also, a huge shout out to her because when I moved here in 2000, it's obviously very slow during summers. I was
Yeah.
open to meeting with people and I would just cold reach out to planners.
Oh,
She was the only planner who took me
wow.
up on it. And I
That's
mean, she is so good at her job and so wise and so kind that I feel like I'm getting like I
mm,
feel like it's a net gain when I work with her clients, and it's the best. She's not the only one in the industry
no.
that I feel like that, but I think I have such a soft spot because she took a chance on a kid who
Just wanted to chat,
didn't. I
wanted to be a
mean,
DJ.
just want to hey, I want to pop out of a cupcake and
Yeah.
entertain people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
So
I love that.
yeah.
Okay, so to wrap it up, I want you to tell
Good.
me, why are you worth it?
Why am I worth it? And I mean, this is gonna sound just just douchey, but it's not up to me whether or not people think I'm worth it, right? It's their decision
Mm-hmm.
ultimately. And so obviously I would say I decline clients maybe once a quarter, something like that, but in the
Okay.
grand scheme of my business, that's 5%, right?
Yes.
And so there is a certain level of me interviewing you, but I'm open to a lot of possibilities. Why am I worth it? I mean, any wedding DJ is going to put in a lot more than just the 3 hour dance set, right? It's the experience and the preparation and all of that. And at the end of the day, I kind of hate the question because it feels like I need to tap dance for it. Whereas like
Mm,
the client needs to understand that I work for myself. I
yeah.
only take a certain amount of events per year and whatnot. And you're basically crowd sharing my salary. Right. And so if that feels like something that you want to do and it feels congruent to bring me in as part of your trusted vendors team, amazing. And if it's not, we were never meant for each other
Yeah.
anyways. I wish you all the best. Follow me on Spotify and Instagram
You
and
put some pretty
like
dope
my stupid
playlists out
stuff.
there.
That's stupid. But all of that stuff. But and I think like that's the biggest thing is like you will attract your people. And I'm just big into education and just free sharing. And I am so passionate about this industry. And I want, on any given Saturday in October, there's probably 100 weddings happening in the valley.
Mm-hmm.
there's not 100 great wedding DJs out there. So I want every single wedding to be the best day of somebody's life. And so anything that I can give back to the community, to, you know, the industry, to other vendors and venues and whatnot, like, it all comes back to you. So that was such a sidestep of your question.
No, I loved it. It was perfect.
It's just kind of...
You're the very first person for me to ask this question to. I was like, I think it'd be so fun. I want to brag on the wedding industry, and I just feel like you...
I don't even know. That's
you
so
are
funny.
totally worth it. It's been a total... I've just loved watching you freaking blow up in the local wedding industry, and just to see all of your success just makes my heart so happy, and to see your generosity with knowledge and education in the industry. Well, I know you're doing really big things within the DJ wedding industry, so it's just, and I knew you would set the tone for having fun while I'm chatting with vendors. I just wanted this to be
I didn't worry about this at all. I saw your questions coming, and I go, I'm not reading that. We're going to do it live.
Which is perfect. I love that so much. I was like, we'll just be able to have a conversation, and that's all that I want to have. I just want to humanize the wedding industry, too, a little bit, because I feel like people get engaged, and it's like, this big, scary wedding industry is coming at you, and we're here to take all your money. And it's like, oh, no, there's like real people behind these businesses that have put in years of freaking Disney cruises, and they have put in tons of time and tons of talent and tons of education, and they're bringing a whole lot to your wedding day, and I feel like you're the prime example of that. So, yeah.
That's so kind of you to say. Thank you for saying that. I feel like I haven't arrived anywhere. It's just the journey.
You're on the journey.
You're
on the journey, my dude.
We're on the journey, baby. Let's go! Best day ever!
Okay, where can people find you on your journey?
Instagram, Trego the DJ, and TregoTheDJ.com, and TikTok at Trego.the.DJ. That's super annoying. And all of the things there, and Spotify, Trego the DJ, sorry. But follow along if you want to laugh, if you like wedding and music and DJs.
You've been crushing that reel game. I know the work that's involved.
It's so exhausting, but I look at it like the gym. Like you commit to you commit to the schedule, and then you figure it out later. But you're amazing. Congratulations on your new venture. I think you have a lot to say to and for the industry, and I'm just proud of you. Thank you for starting something. It is so vulnerable to have an idea and to follow through with it, because it's your brain baby and you don't know how it's going to be received. But let me tell you something. It doesn't matter how it's received. If you fall in love and you're churning out content that you would want to consume, especially if you were a newly engaged couple, that is paramount. Your people will find you. I can't wait until you blow up. Can I get on like the 100th episode? Like,
yes.
Will you get me back?
We'll circle back around.
Let's go. I might not look like a cherry in my car. I might actually set up a studio. We were literally troubleshooting like so much before this.
It was actually all of my fault, actually. Which makes it all the time.
As my kickstand goes out. You know what? We made it happen. We made the wedding industry. We make lemonade happen.
We do.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. It didn't stress me out one bit.
Let's go.
Thank you so much, Trego. I will catch you soon. All right. Have a great day.
Good seeing you.